Hello, good morning, everyone, to the Applicant seminar and warm greetings here from Lille. I hope all of you had a very pleasant summertime in the last 2 months. It's early September and now we need to go back to work. I welcome everyone for the Applicant seminar for the new call from the Urban Agenda on the theme Compact Cities, Sustainable Urban Development and Sprawl Mitigation. We would like to use the next 2 hours to support you in drafting the application. Therefore, we would like to explain you first how the urban agenda is shaped, what the urban agenda is about. And we are also happy to welcome our expert, Ivana Katuric. She will explain you what is in the topic of compact cities, how is it shaped, or how it's, what do you understand, what we understand on compact cities. And you will have a lot of time for questions and answers. I'm sure there are several questions there, and we try to give you all the right answers. I also would like to welcome our colleagues from the European Commission, Anton Schrag, our director, Tim Caulfield from the European Urban Initiative, our expert, Ivana Katuric, and later, Anne Wezel, the director from the Région Hauts-de-France, will also join this meeting. And I will also welcome my colleagues here in Lille and in Brussels, Alessandro, Luis, Rafaela, and Wannes, who is supporting as Golden team in the background and in the front, the whole seminar to my left and to my right. We have a lot of registration. We have more than 320 registrations. So we decided to close the chat in Teams, and we will provide you with the opportunity to participate via Slido with your questions. And for that, we prepared 2-3 warm-up. So please do not try to use the chat because the chat is disabled. Okay. While you take your mobile, I will pose the first question. We are in a more advantageous position than you because we know who registered, but there's a big group of a gray group of participants, and we would like to bring a bit of light who's in from which country. So we see many registrations from Romania, from Germany, Italy, Spain. We know that all 27 EU member states and even all the partner states are registered. And you see it on the cloud. This is whole Europe. Okay, that's very nice. Welcome Europe to this applicant seminar. Maybe we go to the next slide or question. This is the question on the origin. And now we would like to know from you what type of organization do you represent? We have cities, regional authorities, national authorities. It follows already the logic of the application form. So we see a lot of cities. This is very, very good. All of the participants are very welcome, but cities of course are in the core of the urban agenda. So 50% of city representative, also lots of regional authorities, other stakeholder, national ministry, very good. Welcome all the colleagues from the national ministries, research institutions, very welcome as well. And the European National City Umbrella Organization, a little bit less, but of course, there are not so many like cities. That's natural. Okay, I see we have all eligible participants in the room. And now we can start with the first welcome note. I will give the microphone now to our colleague Anton Schrag from the European Commission. Anton, the floor is yours.
Good morning. As already introduced by Jonas, my name is Anton Schrag. I'm working in the European Commission and in particular in DG Regio, the department in the Commission, which is in charge of regional and urban matters. And as European Commission, we are part of the urban agenda for the EU, but not chair. We are just one of the many, many stakeholders here. The urban agenda is a multi-level cooperation on urban matters across the whole of Europe. And it was established in 2016 in Amsterdam with the Pact of Amsterdam. And since then, there have been already 20 thematic partnerships. These partnerships and the agenda itself bring together cities at equal footing with all the member states, with city networks, with European Commission institutions, other EU institutions, with the advisory bodies of the EU. And all of us, we try to address urban matters and get concrete outputs in 3 pillars. These are better knowledge, better funding, and better regulation. Here in this agenda, our cities can make their voice heard for the benefit of all of the EU citizens. Some cities are leading on selected issues in this policy making. This partnership, which is going to start very soon with your applications, is the only one to start this year. The Secretariat, which is organizing these meetings, the EUI, will therefore be able to support you fully with its expertise. This is a good moment, I think, to start an important partnership. The discussion on the future budget of the EU has started, and this will take around 2 years to complete and give us a reliable budget. So the pillar on funding will be obviously important. Even more important, in my view, are the other 2 pillars. Better knowledge is always important. We all know that urban sprawl is a big challenge, and it is not sustainable. Numerous old and new examples exist on how to mitigate the ever-continuing expansion of the vibrant agglomerations with all the related negative consequences. No city needs to reinvent the wheel here from scratch. Examples of good solutions to mitigate this sprawl exist and deserve to be more widespread known. And finally, we have the 3rd pillar, better regulation. This will be the most challenging. Politics is not mainly about funding. Politics is about setting the rules right. Rules are needed when many people live together so they can manage their conflicts. When many people live together, they build a city, in Greek called polis. And the management of the city then is politics. We need to have good politics, not just at city level, but also at regional, national, and finally European, yes, even global level. I hope this partnership will contribute to better politics. I encourage applications which have this ambition and look forward to a committed, resourceful, and responsible partnership. And in particular, I would welcome applications which wish to be coordinators, because these are our key partners. Thank you and good luck.
Thank you, Anton, for this nice introduction words, and we will go during the applicant seminar more and more in the details also of the different pillars of the urban agenda, and to explain more how this compact cities theme can be translated into the different pillars. Thanks, Anton, and I would like to welcome now Tim. Tim Corfield is our director from the European Urban Initiative, and Tim, I welcome you and give you the floor.
Thank you, Jonas. Good morning and welcome to everybody as well. I can see there's 303 people that are attending here, so it's a big turnout. I think we have 320 that were registered, so it is a really good amount of people that are here. As you might know, and perhaps hopefully everybody knows by now, we are EUI, the European Urban Initiative, so we were put together to have a coherent approach to urban support. We have 2 strands, but 3 kind of main key activities. These are innovative actions where we support projects to take risks, to do something different in an urban context. We are from UIA, the Urban Initiative, Innovative Actions, which had 86 projects, so there was already tests that are going on. This took it one step further through EUI. We have 56 projects and really trying to transfer also those innovations. So not just local delivery, but also ensuring that others within Europe are actually looking at what we're doing, understanding what those projects are doing as well in terms of innovation, and then taking those tests to also help their own trials in their own areas. So we have that strand that has come from UIA. We also now, which is a new strand that we're delivering, but coming up from different things that the Commission were putting on previously through capacity building. So we have 3 types of actions through capacity building that we deliver. We have city-to-city exchanges where one city can deliver, can go and help another city. They can go and see what the other city is doing to help them deliver their urban challenge in their particular field of action. We also have peer reviews where peers get together under a city under review on a certain theme or a certain urban strategy to look at that strategy and help them in the development and then potentially the delivery of that strategy. And we also have events. So events normally at a national level that we have these events that we get urban authorities together in the national context under a certain topic, certain challenge to inform them, to guide them and to help them develop their capacities to deliver against this challenge in their country, in their urban authority. Finally, we have knowledge. So knowledge, we have Portico, an online hub where we collate knowledge about all activities that we do, but also our partners do, such as URBAC, for example. And we have activities in terms of policy labs. So we have certain events, certain reviews, certain studies on particular themes, such as mobility, culture, housing, finance, access to finance, and also we host the Cities Forum, which we had this year, with over 700 people attending. So we have a lot of activities that we're undertaking that can also help support the work of partners within the Urban Agenda partnerships. And I come on to this point in terms of the Urban Agenda partnerships. I talked about the kind of concrete activities that we do in terms of funding. We also provide the Secretariat for the Urban Agenda partners and partnerships. We provide support through the application process. We provide support through the implementation process, but also in terms of communication, we act and support communication of the urban agenda through partnerships, but also wider field. So really a big role that we play in terms of supporting partners, coordinators, as Antoine mentioned before, to really put in place concrete actions or action plans over a 3-year period to better support funding, regulation and knowledge, as Antoine mentioned, the 3 pillars of the urban agenda. And this is really a serious commitment as well. It's a 3-year, at least a 3-year process of putting in an action plan and then potentially implementing that thereafter. So it is an important commitment for partners and particularly coordinators. But it is a very interesting and also rewarding, both personally for those involved, but also for organisations to be involved really at the heart of defining EU decisions, making things happen at an EU level that reflects what the needs are at a city level. But as I said, and you'll see this a bit later, you're not on your own. We are the Secretariat there to support you. We provide admin, we provide coordination, we provide expertise, travel, subsistence to those that are eligible, but also we get the different partnerships together to support each other. There have been 20 partnerships already in place. There are 8 ongoing partnerships. There's really a collective of people, of organisations that can support in the development of these action plans. Really an opportunity to learn and to experience from the experience of others. And just finally, in terms of compact cities, this is obviously a very important, very interesting topic as well. Key subject, a lot of intertwined challenges, intertwined opportunities as well. So it's interesting, but it is something that is a complicated subject that needs a lot of thought in terms of how this will work in the future. So That's the challenge that we have in terms of the urban agenda, looking at how we affect the funding, affect the regulation, affect the knowledge as well through this interesting topic. So last comment is good luck. Good to see so many people, up to nearly 350 now, who are attending this event. And we look forward to your applications in the near future and working with you very soon as well. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Tim. And I also welcome those who participated in the last minutes. I would just want to say use Slido for your questions when you have questions. And we will answer them because the chat is disabled. It's better to coordinate this through Slido. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Anton. You mentioned already there's a big community already of Urban Agenda partnerships. This call will form, let's say, the ninth partnership now of the new generation. As I said, the objective of this applicant seminar is to provide you with guidance to write good applications. That's why I invite now my colleague Alessandro in the first 30 minutes to explain you in detail what's the urban agenda is actually about. What can you expect from participating, and what's the reason why I should apply for the partnership of compact cities within the urban agenda. Then we have the opportunities for you to pose a question on the urban agenda in general. We will continue then with the presentation of the topic of the compact cities by our expert Ivana Kapovic, and we will explain you where you can apply, how to apply, and where you can find all the supporting documents that we have provided for you that will help you. And at the end, we will give you the timeline for the call of the partners and the next steps. Thank you so far to all, and I give the floor now to Alessandro.
Hello, everybody. A great pleasure to be here with you for the second time. Last year, we had the first edition. My name is Alexandru Matei, Senior Officer on Urban Agenda and Partnership. And as my colleagues introduced, I will try to structurally present what it is, how it functions, and how you can get involved in it. But I want to start with something very important. I want to congratulate you for choosing and making time to be here with us, because having access to this moment will help you and make your application much easier. And to see almost 350 people now in the room, it's extraordinary. Thank you very much, and we appreciate your interest and time. With that said, I would like to start by emphasizing what we are talking about today. If you follow a bit the European discussion, you might have heard two names, Urban Agenda for the EU, and more recently, you might have heard about the EU Agenda for City, which is a new policy expected to come this autumn. I want to underline that today we only talk about Urban Agenda for the EU. The two of them are not the same thing, even though the name might create confusion. But it's true that those involved in creating this new one, the policy, are reflecting about connection with this one. So just have in mind this distinction to be sure that we talk about the same thing. Very beautifully, both our colleague Anton from the Commission and our director team explained this first history, the first element of the urban agenda. I want to just underline discussion about a possible urban agenda in the EU at that time was already happening in the 1990s. And a first important document that emphasized the intention to go in this direction is the communication from the Commission from 1997. However, those elements that you can consider the foundation of the urban agenda that explain in detail what it is and how it functions are the Pact of Amsterdam, which was published in 2016 under the Dutch EU presidency, and later additional documents that complemented in Ljubljana Agreement 2021 and more recently Gijón Declaration from 2023. Of course, these documents do not exist in a vacuum. They are relating with other European policies, such as the very useful new Leipzig Charter and Territorial Agenda 2030s. I know this was also one of the questions you put in your registration form. How do they link with other programs? We can expand on that if needed. So what exactly is the urban agenda for the EU? So first of all, we want to underline it's an informal intergovernmental cooperation. Our colleague Anton has very clearly and beautifully explained the European Commission is one actor from the European level in a wider context working with member states, umbrella organization for cities and other actors in a common interest. Secondly, the urban agenda for the EU is a unique working method, which is based on multi-stakeholder and multi-level cooperation. So you cooperate with many typology of institutions that work on different administrative level. And last but not least, very, very important, according to the Pact of Amsterdam, cities are at the core of this initiative. And that has a very specific reason. You might have read in the literature that a lot of the legislation that is produced at EU level, European level, or national level have a direct local impact. So if you're a public administration, a lot of this you will need to implement. But historically, cities have not been always involved in shaping these policies. It was mainly member states, maybe regional level and European institutions, but not cities. So this is the unique aspect of the urban agenda. It allows cities to stay at the same roundtables with these stakeholders. Now that we open the door for you, let me explain the objectives. Well, the first objective is to realize the full potential of urban areas in the European Union. We know that cities are very important for a strong, developed Europe. So we want to make sure that the full potential can be achieved. Secondly, the urban agenda has as objective to establish an integrated approach and contribute to territorial cohesion. So the intention is to not look separately at different sectors, but to have an integrated approach. And I think this particular call on compact cities is an excellent approach to do that integrated vision. And last but not least, the third objective is to involve urban authorities in the design of policies. As we said already, the intention is to strengthen the role of cities in policy making and to foster cooperation with different levels of governance. Okay. Again, according to the Pact of Amsterdam, it was decided that to achieve this objective, the outputs of the partnership should aim to these three elements. Both Mr. Anton and team, our colleagues, have underlined better regulation, better funding, and better knowledge. And indeed, Anton is very rightly saying that because in the next 2 years, it will be a lot of discussion about the new EU budget for the new programming period. This partnership will have the unique opportunity to contribute in that direction, which is an excellent fit with the current EU processes. Okay, before going on and explaining the partnership, I want to underline something else. Urban agenda is focused urban agenda for the EU is focused on the European Union territory. That's clear. But again, it's not existing in a vacuum. It's linked with the global level and local level. And I want to remind you, this is contributing to the 2030 agenda, where we have the Sustainable Development Goals mentioned, which is very relevant, Sustainable Goal 11, where cities and communities are addressed. And linked to that, I will remember you, and you should not confuse, there is also what we call the new urban agenda created under the UN Habitat 3. Those try to make synergy. And what we've seen recently is that some national levels have started debates and put forward national urban agendas. Here we have the example of Spain. It is not the only country. I think also Italy had this debate on this. There are many others that looked at it and gradually take different shape, even though maybe they will not always mentioned as agenda. With that said, I would like to explain how we work with the thematic partnership. What are they first? Well, thematic partnerships are the key delivery mechanisms of the urban agenda for the EU. You already heard, there are 20 so far, and they are the mechanism with which we achieve these goals. Historically, most of the EU presidency from 2016 have opened a couple of topics, which ended up with creation of partnerships. And we had the pleasure since 2022 to launch already 6 topics: greening cities, sustainable tourism, food, cities of equality, water sensitive cities, and building decarbonization. And currently, you have the opportunity to become the new member of the Compact Cities. You might see in this graphic 2 interesting cases, and I want to underline them. Those are our champions. They are 2 partnerships which have managed for a long time to continue working without interruption. I will come back to this in a minute. Since 2016, with all this partnership, we have naturally ended up with a beautiful, strong community of members, which cover the entire European Union and beyond. I remind you, Norway and Switzerland are also part of the urban agenda because they signed the Ljubljana Agreement. So if you want to explore who from your area was there, you have a link and you find this on our website. What is inside the partnership? Inside the partnership, on a round table with equal rights, we have EU institutions such as the Commission, European Investment Bank. We have member states that decide with their ministries to participate. We can have regions. We have other entities such as NGO, research institutions. And again, at the core of it, we have city representatives. That's why we are very happy to see half of you are representing cities. Let me explain how it's structured in practice so you have an idea what to expect if you apply. Most of the time we have at least one coordinator, but it's often the case that they decide to have 2 to make the work easier and more fun. The members gradually structure around subtopics, which become working groups or even action. They designate leaders for all of them. But again, as our director said, you are not alone. Do not get scared. We are here to help you have a beautiful experience. We will try to take all of the burden from your side in such a way that you can focus on the thematic aspects and on the strategic points. So the European Urban Initiative, as the permanent secretary, will guarantee for you an officer, which will be your right hand. And when needed, you will have access to expert days to cover very technical needs you might encounter. More specifically, coordinators should be focusing on the thematic, strategic direction of the partnership, plus secure a positive cooperation dynamic in the partnerships. Action leader will mainly focus on thematic elements, and they will focus on this thematic direction of the working group or action they are looking at. And of course, partners will contribute to all of this discussion and can also decide to host meetings in person. From our side, we have prepared and we have a lot of experience with the support service package that covers all the operational directions and principles that are needed. And we guarantee with the thematic partnership officer that he will look into the assisting and guiding you, plus all the organizational and administrative aspects that will encounter. And lastly, the external expert will be there to secure external knowledge when needed and not available inside the partnership. So those are a bit of the overview of the roles inside the system. However, I want to emphasize that at the core of everything are people. People that put their energy in action, people that are dedicated, people with which we start working many times online with many tools that we have prepared, such as Miro, SharePoint. And when needed, we can also have hybrid meetings. Sometimes we are joined by members that are our supporters. Here you have Mr. Marco Rossempere from the European Parliament, who wanted to join our discussion. We go sometimes hands-on approach, pen and paper, put things in writing and start to discuss them. We go from very small paper ideas in small groups to the larger groups and wide papers if needed. And sometimes we even end up being in the paper for what we are doing with this work. It's not a surprise. Some will like to learn about this reality. I'm going further, and I will try in the next minute to explain the process of what to expect when you join the Urban Agenda in a partnership. We are currently here in the middle of the call. The application received will be evaluated, then a proposal will be made and decided by the governing body. From the moment the partnership starts its work, the first phase is to orient themselves in the thematical direction. For that, they will use this, what we call ex-ante assessment study, from which they will define subtopics. With this in mind, they will go in a phase of stock taking, reflecting on the content, debating, and gradually creating preliminary actions, which are put forward in a draft action plan, which is more than just individual action. It brings everything, glues everything together, which gradually will be put to a public consultation. So external people can give feedback, so you have the possibility to improve it. And in the end, you will end up with the final action plan. Probably it will take around 1 year, 1.5 years for this from the previous experience. And with this, you will go on in full implementation mode, or having also possibility to monitor and see what is done. Here are very short example of more recent action plans. We currently have greening cities and sustainable tourism. And if you want to see more, by the end of this month, it's very likely we'll have also food and cities of equality. So stay tuned to our news channel. You might see that there. We have read all of your questions that you put in the registration, and we know you have some concerns about how much is to work and how does it function. So here is a summary. A partnership, according to Ljubljana Agreement, is set up to exist for 3 years. Nevertheless, if the partnership members want to continue, they have the possibility to extend it twice with 1 year, time in which we will continue to support you in this process. So it's between 3 and 5 years. After that, it's up to you, totally independent. How much work is there? Well, first of all, we want to underline it's not uniform and it's very flexible. It depends on what you and your colleagues in the partnership will decide. How many action, how intense you want to go, how many meetings. We just guide you and offer advice. We do not force anyone. It's up to you to decide what you want to do and how. Nevertheless, from experience, we could see somewhere between 0.25 to 0.75 days per week. So I don't know, from a couple of hours per week, mainly for partners, and a bit more from half a day to 1.5 days max, I would say, for coordinators per week. But again, it's up to you how you shape it. You can decide to do less but focused, or more and more intense. In terms of how many meetings we are expecting, from the experience we have, we meet almost every month to have an update and progress. That means around 8 online meetings per year so far. This is the most common situation, and around 2 in-person meetings per year for a partnership. In addition, on our side, we try to do one event where we bring all the partnership which are active together to create synergy and learn from each other. Going further with this, I would like to emphasize that you have the possibility to look on example of actions and results. We have a monitoring table of action with several generations. So looking all of them, you can even go back to the most old version, seeing all of the thematic partnership from the past. This can be done on our website. And we also produced for you a couple of cards that show different typologies of outputs, from very policy recommendation, very political driven, to podcast and video animation, handbooks, manual, everything you can explore and try to see what others have already done. Get inspiration. With that said, I would also like to come and underline some of the benefits of this program. This is not a program for finding projects. It's not a Horizon 2020, it's not Life Project, it's not Erasmus. However, this is, and I will repeat it, unique because you have the opportunity to contribute to shape EU policy with better regulation, better funding, better knowledge. And this is very rare in the European context. This is the only program that it's entirely focused on this. Secondly, we learned from previous experience that it's an excellent launchpad for funding opportunities in the future. There have been many partners that clustered together and gradually applied to other funding proposals. The program offers a great visibility and recognition, and because you are in this format, you are an official entity in the European context. You are recognized as such. The experience of being in an urban agenda helps you improve governance by working multi-level and multi-stakeholder. For many smaller cities, we know it's not easy to interact with the European institution. They might look very far away, very complex. So this program will facilitate that for you. Last but not least, with your colleagues, we'll have excellent networking and collaboration opportunities inside the partnership and outside. And we know from previous experience, many that work in partnerships together become friends, which is a beautiful additional output. And you have the chance with the program to have a European-wide reflection to your local solution with which you might consider. You might discover that your local challenge is that unique, and you might discover other ways you can address it from your colleagues. And last but not least, you will learn a lot in the process because we are having experts with us. Also today, you will see Ivana in a couple of minutes, and you will have the chance to learn a lot of new elements. And to give a proof that this makes sense, I want to underline two of our champions. Inclusion of migrants and refugees and public procurement partnership exist for more than 8 and respectively 9 years, and they are now working on finalizing and implementing their third action plan. The fact that they continued entirely alone with no support, entirely voluntary to work, shows that there is value in what they do. Furthermore, we know this moment, 2 of the recent partnerships, Sustainable Tourism and Green Cities, are strongly considering a prolongation. So they will also go beyond the initial 3 years to continue working on this. So those are proof that things make sense and they add value. Now, we said it before clearly, you are not alone, do not get scared. We are there to support you with everything possible, so you focus just on the content. For that, we have a package prepared from our side of the secretariat. Here is the overview of what we can provide. So we will guarantee administrative support with the help of a thematic partnership officer. We will secure travel and accommodation support for urban authorities or eligible urban authorities. I will explain. We can provide expertise with external experts. We can guarantee that you'll properly introduced in an initiation phase, being learning everything that we already know from previous experience. We secure for you communication and dissemination. And we guarantee we will create synergy with your partnership between you and the other partnership and beyond with other programs and European institutions. Today, I will focus mainly on the first three, which are the most interesting. But everything is mentioned in a fact sheet, which you will find on our website if you would like to explore more. With that said, the thematic partnership officer is tasked to assist and guide the partnership, especially the coordination and action leaders, on the key organizatorial and administrative activities and tasks. They focus on a day-to-day work and especially on the operational functioning of your partnership, and they are predominantly looking to administrative and technical support. Let me give an example. All the meeting announcements, calendar, invitation, link, minutes, agenda, notes, presentation are most likely done by TPOs with your supervision and collaboration as much as you want it. So all of this work will be taken from you and you'll just need to focus on the topic. And I can guarantee we have a wonderful group of officers. Most of the partnership are very happy with their contribution, and we are also. Second important element is travel and accommodation support. This is a financial support for two reasons, for two activities. The first one, to allow you to participate in urban agenda thematic partnership meeting of your partnership, to compensate for lack of resources, which often happens, especially in smaller cities. And secondly, to actively participate in what we call synergy meeting or coordinators and action leader meeting and other meetings where we or the commission would say, we would like you to be there. So for this, we cover the cost and travel and accommodation, but there are eligibility criteria. This is how the government decided to structure it. You must be an urban authority or an association or grouping of urban authorities with a legal status that are organized agglomerations. And you need to be under 500,000 inhabitants. We know there are some of you that are beyond this limit and that it's not managing support everything, but this is what the governance body decided and they have their justification for it. Furthermore, we also have provision of expertise, which means that we have up to 70 senior expert dates per year that we can put offer to you for the entire period of the partnership, 3 years, to cover and provide specific knowledge, know-how, and expertise for your outputs whenever the resources inside the partnership are not already available. So you either don't have the knowledge or either don't have the capacity at that moment. Lastly, as we mentioned, you will have an initiation phase. So we will secure, especially with the coordinators, that we teach you everything we learned from the past. We show you all the infrastructure, all the tools, all the processes we have. We will guarantee and hope support you with communication dissemination of your activities, of your outputs. We use all of our websites, social media, and tools. And as we said, we guarantee and actively look for synergies between all of the partnerships and beyond with other programs and initiatives. With that said, I would like to gradually close this part and it's good to just look towards others have said on about their experience. Reason for which we wanted to have them here in person. They were not available, unfortunately, but we are able to share some of their views in a video format. Okay. I'm just learning that the sound is not visible at this time. We will do a quick check, and here should be corrected.
Coimbra region.
Okay.
My name is Axel Griffon. I work at CEMR. It's the Council of European Municipalities and Regions.
I'm Ricardo Calderón. I come from Spain, from the City Council of Elche.
I am Jorge Brito. I'm the Executive Secretary of the Intermunicipality Community of Coimbra region.
My name is Bart Molenkamp. I work for the city of Enschede, which is located in the east of the Netherlands.
The Water Sensitive City Partnership aims to place water at the heart of sustainable urban development. It is focused on connecting cities to water-related challenges.
Water management is a very important issue for cities and regions.
Specifically, Enschede has a lot of issues with urban water management, so both drought, which you would not say in the Netherlands, and also heavy precipitation. So it's a big issue in our region.
I think the main contribution that we want to achieve from this partnership will be to have some capacity building and to familiarize ourselves on how the urban agenda works and which funding and knowledge options we do have.
One of the things Enschede has a specific focus on is behavioral change and participation, so how to really get our citizens and businesses involved in the urban water management and how to prepare them for the changing climate, basically.
Learn from funding inputs that might help us to achieve our greater goals in water management.
Our priority now is to develop the orientation paper till the end of May, so we can start working on the action plan, which will outline key priorities and specific actions to be implemented.
Ik moet klappen.
We want to make sure that this conversation does not stay in the partnership, but also reaches a wider audience.
So one word would be capacity.
For us, it's mostly cooperation.
Innovation, sustainability.
Exchange of good practices, multi-level governance.
Et c'est parti. I'm Anne from the city of Mechelen.
I'm Igor from the city of Mechelen. I work at the climate department.
I am Tommaso Rossotti. I'm the head of business development at universities.
Our thematic partnership is about building decarbonization, how we can shift to fossil-free ways of heating with all the buildings in our city.
I agree.
We do believe that having a participative approach across countries, across the European Union, can really serve cities eventually in delivering in the complicated challenges that they have to go through in their daily life. We do believe that eventually social inclusion and climate action starts from the build sector and building themselves. So being in the building decarbonization is crucial for us to try to advance this agenda and support an inclusive and just transition in the European Union.
We are still kind of starting up, getting to know each other, but we have really good dynamics and we're looking forward to this.
Holistic, cooperation, and practical.
Better funding, inclusive renovations. Okay, hope that was helpful.
Thank you, Alessandro, and I welcome all also the rest of the participants who joined in the last minutes. I think this was a very long but very comprehensive explanation of the urban agenda. So don't be scared. The video here is recorded, the whole session. We will upload this on YouTube and we'll send you the link. So whenever you have if you want to listen again to several parts what Alexandru explained, you can do it also after the session. I would like to remind you that we disabled the function of the chat and do not raise your hand. We cannot manage this with nearly 400 participants, so please use your Slido. And you can pose your questions directly in Slido. And I will ask my colleague Luis, who's monitoring the Slido questions. Luis, we have now 15 minutes around for question and answer session on the urban agenda in general. We will have later also another 15 minutes after Ivana's presentation. So if your question is not answered now, we try to do it then also later. And if we do not manage to answer all questions in this applicant seminar, we will collect and update the frequently asked question document later. Okay, Luis, I look at your site. Do we have already questions in the Slido chat?
Yes, can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you very well.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Jonas. We have actually quite a lot of questions now. So I think it's best to just fire away. The first one here is from Zoe Werner. Is it possible for us to collaborate with a local university and participate together? I'm not sure what kind of stakeholder she's from, but I assume she's a stakeholder wanting to collaborate with the university.
Yeah. Alex, can you please answer this question?
Yes, with pleasure. We have experienced the similar situation in other partnerships. For example, in Sustainable Tourist Partnership, there is a very strong group in Croatia around Šibenik and Zadar. And there, one of the city is very closely cooperating with the university. At the level of at the moment they applied for the application to be partners, it was just the city that applied, but this cooperation functioned very well, and they gradually had that person in the team indirectly. In this case, so far, they have not been made an official partner, but that cooperation was constantly running. And basically, the city delegated the person in the university as a representative on their behalf, allowing in this way them to participate. Later in the process, we didn't mention it, but there is a way when somebody is really involved to be recognized as a partner. This is something we can explain after that. But to make it short, if there's a strong cooperation, we will emphasize that you could definitely explain it in your application. And yes, we had previous situation like this, in which just the city applied, but they always had a very close cooperation with the university. So my advice is, if that's the case, put it in the application. Nevertheless, I want to emphasize that in the categories of partners in the call, we also have mentioned under the category other stakeholder, universities and research institution. But in the case, you'll have two applications, the city and the university. I hope I managed to cover that part.
Okay, thank you, Alex. I will give again the floor to Luis. There are lots of questions coming in. Please tell us what's the next question.
Yes, there seems to be quite some confusion regarding the 500,000 inhabitants limit. Okay. So Corentin and amongst a lot of other people would like to know if does this mean 500,000 plus cities cannot participate in the program, or just that the travel and accommodation fundings are not allowed?
Thank you,
Yes.
Luis. We will explain this also later, but Alex, maybe you can answer this question already now.
Yes. So maybe I did not express myself well. The limit of 500, above 500 inhabitants per city is just that for the eligibility of travel accommodation. So once again, we can offer travel accommodation just for urban authorities which have a population under 500,000 inhabitants. However, cities of all sizes are eligible to apply in the Urban Agenda program. So again, according to Ljubljana and Pact of Amsterdam, cities of all sizes. So you can apply in the program. Unfortunately, we cannot offer travel accommodation for urban authorities with more than 500,000 inhabitants. That's the situation.
Okay, thank you, Alex, for this clarification. But as I said, we will go into the eligibility criteria also in the second part of this applicant seminar. Luis, please tell us what is the next burning questions from our participants.
The next one is from Tristan Sufis. Are there opportunities for construction sector organizations to contribute or be involved in the discussions, considering their role in shaping compact cities?
Very clear question. Alex, can you give a clear answer on that?
Yes. Well, here is mentioned to be involved in the discussion, considering their role. So they do not mention specific to be partner, but I will explain two cases. So if they just want to be involved in the discussion, I remind you that there is a phase where the draft action plan of the partnership is put to public consultation. So if they just want to get involved at that stage, they can just contribute with their feedback and experience on that particular draft action plan. If they would like to become partner in the partnership and submit an application, then I will underline that they should look on the category of partners, again, the element under other stakeholder. And I see we have here the criteria, the case for sector-specific association, NGOs, as well as local regional entities in the field such as urban planning, special development, sustainable transport, and land use management, which contribute to knowledge exchange, capacity building for more compact, resilient cities. To the base of my knowledge, I would assume they might fit under this category, but that needs to exactly see their status. But this is the recommendation I can make at this moment, and I hope it's clear. If not, do not hesitate to come back to us if you consider we did not resolve your question, okay?
Yeah, thank you, Alex. Luis, please tell us the next question.
Yeah, Matej Stefan Lutz wants to know if regions are eligible to apply.
Yes, regions are eligible to apply. There is a specific category mentioned, region and regional development agencies. So yes, clearly.
And to complement, of course, regions are a very important aspect in the multi-level governance process. So all regions are welcome to apply. Luis, please, the next question.
Yeah. Are umbrella organizations part of that second group of agglomeration of urban entities to cover their expenses?
Oh, well, it depends what it means with umbrella organization. For example, if there is an association of member of cities, so association of cities, which is getting them together on a European level. There are several in Europe. Then, unfortunately, they are not eligible. But what we have under that category in the second group where we mention agglomeration and grouping is, for example, if there is an organized, could be a metropolitan area, where there are maybe 5 urban authorities grouped together with a legal status. This is what we aimed on that. We can provide further details if needed.
Yes, we have several cases. We will prove it individually how it fits into the categories, but I can say that we have, as Alessandro said in an example, a few cases where we can support you with travel and accommodation costs. Okay, Luis, next question, please.
Yep. Can a metropolitan area be a good candidate? If yes, in which category?
Yes, good question. Metropolitan areas in Europe have a very different status. Some of them are regularly recognized, others not. So it's always a bit of discussion what is understood under that name, because different countries have different situation. However, in most of the cases, from our experience, they fit under the second category, so association or grouping of urban authorities. So yes, they will be relevant, but again, with an asterisk that there might be very specific cases that could be a bit different in meaning than we know.
But I can assure that we have several metropolitan areas, metropolitan regions as partners already in the ongoing partnerships, so you're very welcome to apply. Luis, next question, please.
Yep. Are private organizations eligible for the applications with involvement of cities?
With involvement of cities, I think the key part would be here to clarify what means with involvement of cities. A private organization alone, to what I remember, and I hope I don't miss it this year, is not foreseen.
Yes, it is. I can.
It is okay.
Yes, it is. So private organizations can apply. There is no limitation. But please be assured, there are lots of eligibility criteria and selection criteria. If you apply as a private organization, you have to fulfill all the selection criteria in a good way. So if you act on behalf of a city as a private organization, yes, we can prove it. But the core, as we say, it's a dialect process, is for cities and public entities. But if you act on behalf and you have a good contribution to the selection criteria, you are not disabled from the selection process.
Thank you, Jonas. And this will go under the other stakeholder category grouping.
Exactly. So Luis, please continue with the next question.
How many people from each city or institution can participate in the in-person event?
Good question. Please, my colleagues, if I missed this, we should correct me, please. In the past, we had a difference between the coordinators and members. To what I remember now, we allow 2 people from each organization to participate, knowing that sometimes it's very justified to have them. But we will put this with a sign. I don't have that technical document with me to be 100% sure, and we did improve gradually. So that's why I'm saying we will check it exactly. I'm not sure, Luise, or Jonas, if you remember, what is the last status we did.
Well, it depends also on the meeting. So in general, we never had more than two representatives of a city in one meeting. It might be, but the travel and accommodation reimbursement, Luis, maybe you can also complement, is not for 3 or 4 representatives from cities. So there's a limitation. I think, Luis, for 1 or 2 for one representative. Yeah, for 1. Maybe you can explain.
Well, it depends. For partners who are eligible for travel and accommodation, we only finance the travel and accommodation of 1 person. And for coordinators, we finance up to 2 people. But we have had meetings before where there have, for example, been 3 representatives from a coordinator stakeholder, but we've only, of course, then reimbursed 2 people.
Okay, thank you. Next question. We still have, I would say, 3-4 minutes for the question and answer session, and then we continue with the view on the compact cities theme with Ivana.
Yeah, there's someone here who would like to know how the EY is connected to another EU project like the Net Zero Cities.
Should I take this?
Yeah, yeah.
So this is going beyond the urban agenda. It's talking about European Urban Initiative in relationship to Net Zero Cities. European Urban Initiative is mentioned in the regulation from, what was it, 2021 to 2026, so the current programming period, and has the specific aim to cover the three main elements that our director presented. So we have capacity building, we have innovation action calls and projects, we have knowledge and capitalization, and of course then the Secretariat for Urban Agenda for the EU. Net Zero Cities, where I'm not an expert, but I know it's driven by the Commission as a European project with all the 100 cities collected. We do not officially are required to do a direct link. However, in the partnership, whenever we have opportunities to create synergy, we emphasize this. But again, we from the Secretariat, we never impose. We provide you with experience we have from the past. We recommend you, based on our knowledge, what you can do, and it's up for you to go further. So if the partnership would like to create synergy with Net Zero Cities, very well, we encourage it and we help it, but you are not forced to do that.
If I may complement, thanks, Alex. I think you explained it also in your presentation. We always motivate partners to have as much as possible synergies also with other EU programs. So we look how we can create synergies first among the urban agenda partnerships. Then we try to allow for synergies and to create synergies with other EUI strands. And then, of course, we try to motivate and see how we can create synergies between urban agenda partnerships with other EU programs. I would say this is the high school of dialogue coordination, but we have a lot of good examples on this already, in particular with funding programs like URBACT. We have very good cooperation and try to create as much as possible synergies, for example, here and with other programs. Louise, maybe let's say 2 more questions, and then I would like to continue with the other part of the program. So Louise, please, can you read?
Yep. Can you give some more details about the funding? Does each partner receive a lump sum for travels? Are staff costs included?
Yes, with pleasure. We have a very structured process by now. A member which is participating in an in-person meeting will register via our platform, which will recognize his identity and meeting where he went. We do indeed use lump sum. After coordinating with the colleagues in the Commission, we concluded lump sum are the best in terms of effort and administrative effort you need to put and value added. That lump sum, it's quite generous and covers well travel and accommodation. However, it's not including staff cost. Again, the governance group of the Urban Agenda had decided on some of these points, and this is what we have for now as a formula.
Okay, Louise, maybe last question. I see this is also already the introduction to the second part of the applicant seminar, but maybe you, Alex, you can answer it very briefly because we explain it now in detail.
Yes, so it will be exactly the next presentation coming from our expert. There are 2 main criteria, horizontal and specific selection criteria. And there is an independent expert that will evaluate propose a mix of partners that could provide a good partnership, and that it's then submitted to the governance entity who takes the final decision. So this is in short, but you will have a full presentation on that. Do not be worried.
Okay, thank you, Alex, and thank you, Luis. I see more and more questions incoming, but please excuse. We will try to collect and summarize the question as much as possible. We will include them in the frequently asked question document, and will upload this in the next days. For reason of keeping the time, I would like to go now to the second part of the applicant seminar. And I'm very happy, Ivana, to welcome you in this meeting. Ivana, you were the author of the ex-ante assessment, and you summarized and, let's say, defined in cooperation also with the Urban Agenda Governance Body, with UDG. We had several consultations, so it was not just you, but you were the author to explain and address what's in the topic of compact cities and how can it put into the different pillars of the urban agenda, and what's the relevance also of a planning topic on EU level. So this was the task of the ex-ante assessment, and you elaborated also some subtopics where you recommend some potential areas where the partnership could focus on. And we commonly elaborated also the selection criteria, because you will also make the assessment. And Ivana, you will explain now in more detail how to apply, or what is the content of the partnership, of the future partnership, and how you will select the partners. Ivana, the floor is yours, and please unmute yourself.
Thank you so much. Well, first of all, I would like to say that I'm impressed by the number of participants. Now I can see 358 participants. And I would like to say that I'm really happy because of the two things, because of the topic of compact cities and sustainable urban planning, and because of the urban agenda as a process which is of the extreme importance for the cities, for the urban territories, but also for the Europe as a whole. I have participated in the historic urban agenda partnerships, and I can tell you that the overreaching impact of the knowledge produced within these partnerships is huge. So basically, it has influenced the changes of the national regulations. It has brought some of the great topics at the European agenda as a discussion topics that gain such a huge momentum. One of the historic partnerships was also sustainable land use, which is very much linked to the topic of compact cities, which explored some of the main challenges that we have in the compact cities. So really, this is a little bit a digression, but I was really feeling the need to say this because I'm so happy that there is such a huge interest from all possible stakeholders in this. And also one other thing, either if you are selected or if you are not, it is really great that there is a huge interest in this topic and that you are going somehow to follow the production of knowledge related to it, because there are many gaps really related to the knowledge of the topic and the need to link the scientific researches with the policy and to give really good implementation frameworks that we are going to need in the future. So if we can go to the second slide, Luis. Concerning the thematic scope, as Jonas already said, it is really elaborated in the ex-ante assessment document. Of course, there are many researches already conducted on this topic. I will mention just super research that was funded by ESPON, but also several other large-scale studies and also scientific papers and books that are recently published on not only the topic of sustainable urbanization, but also on the related topics which are guiding the sustainable urbanization. Our main idea while discussing the, so as Jonas said, it was initially my work, but also it went through numerous discussions with different stakeholders, was really to understand the drivers that influence supply and demand of developable land in urban regions. And this is quite important because understanding drivers, we can understand the core of the processes that are ongoing on the territory. Also, the idea was to enhance the operationalization of sustainable urbanization concepts. So there is already a huge literature and understanding on the negative effects of urban sprawl, on the need to introduce the compact city policies and so on, but the operationalization of these concepts is increasingly important. It is something that we really have to look into this partnership. Then there is, and you can see this very illustrative picture of containment, desinfection, and regeneration as a compact city approaches, and not only, but the major one, which are also at the same time food for thought, and also there is a repository of the good policies, good projects, good development strategies that already worked at the European territory under this umbrella. And then my favorite topic is the topic of trade-offs, because I would not like us to approach the topic of compact cities in a dogmatic way. So there is no perfect urban policy. Even introduction of compact city policies, it has trade-offs. So when we are looking at the dimensions of sustainability, so social, economic, and environmental, there is always going to be a certain trade-off while introducing a policy, and we need really to understand what are the real trade-offs, what are the perceived trade-offs, so to look really very good at the data, because there are many misconceptions related to the compact city policies and the rise of the housing prices, for example, and unaffordability of the housing and so on. So we should be very clear, we should really good understand the situation, but also we can't be naive, we can't be dogmatic. So we need to understand that the mitigation strategies are extremely important. So basically, to understand the shortcomings of the introduction of certain concepts and policies, and to design the specific mitigations mechanisms that should follow. Then one also point that is important for this topic is the understanding and implementation of transsectorial policies, regulations, and fundings, and how it is impacting the forms of urban development. So from transport policies, land regulation, affordable housing that I already mentioned, to infrastructure retrofitting and functional urban areas coordination. We all know that here we are discussing about the planning, that in Europe we have a different families of planning. This is already elaborated in many researches, the first one being the most significant one, historical compendium produced by Delft, but then also many other researches that are showing the changes of these systems. So there is never one solution fit all for the European territories. It's because we have a path dependencies of the planning systems that we should understand, and then also to add the complexity, the challenge to really work transsectorial, to work on the different aspects which are located in the different sectors, and to understand the implications, potentials, and also possibilities for the innovation. So maybe we can move to the second topic. Of course, if you have additional questions related to this, it's more than welcome. What is really important, I think, to understand, and I didn't mention this at the very beginning, but what I keep repeating is that there is no territory in Europe that is rich enough for the diffuse city model. So basically, the long-term financial consequences for the public sector when dealing with such typology of the territories is huge. And this is something that is really important to have in mind, that basically we need to think about the compact cities policies not only in the sense of the environmental sustainability or social sustainability, but also in the context of the economic sustainability and the long-term burdens that we are putting on the public sector in order to maintain the social services in this territory, to make the adequate infrastructure for these territories and so on. So really, it is one of the key topics, especially in these times which are quite challenging, when we are having also the housing crisis, and when a straightforward solution for the housing crisis would be to build cheap at the outskirts of the cities and so on, and to create further the urban sprawl. So we need to be very, very aware that this is one of the crucial topics for the European territories, and it has implications in all three dimensions of sustainability. I will try now to be brief about the subtopics for the compact cities. So those are ideas that the future partnerships can build on. Of course, add a new question. There is, Alexandru showed the phases of the partnerships, in which you are having the phase in which you are looking at the ex-ante assessment, agreeing or disagreeing with some points, adding your inputs, adding your knowledge, learning from each other. So this is extremely important phase. So the list of possible subtopics are related to anticipating impacts of the national implementation of the directives of soil monitoring and nature restoration, on the land use planning and on the compact city policies, improving the enforcement of the urban planning regulations, which is quite a tricky topic because we are always approached with the idea of more flexibility, that basically planning is an obstacle for the development and so on. But in many cases, it is not the planning that is an obstacle to the development and so on, but the uncertainty inscribed within some of the planning processes is something that we should face seriously and understand better, that this is not that this is not gold plating of the processes and so on, but this is understanding of how to streamline the processes and make them better. Then urban regeneration and densification, which is a topic that was already really well developed with the two historic partnerships, so Sul NBS and Circular City. They developed one great guide that was the basis for the changes of the national policies in many countries, and also the city approaches. Coordination of sectorial policies impacting land use, so this includes transport as well. Mainstreaming of the principles in the new European Bauhaus and fostering social innovation, which is equally important because we need to have in mind when we are introducing a compact city policies, it means very often recycling of the land. It means urban regeneration, and urban regeneration should never be the regeneration of the physical fabric only. It has to have the comprehensive set of the policies which are related also to the social aspects. Land policies, property rights, and public value capture instruments are extremely important. We have completely different experiences on the European territories. We have some great examples, and we have situations in which cities are coping to implement these instruments due to the different constraints in the legal framework, in the knowledge capacity of the administrations to exercise them, and so on. Better funding, I will be also try to be really brief concerning this. So funding is important in two aspects, because as I already mentioned, usually the things that we see as short-term affordable solutions, looking at the long-term perspective of 30, 50 or 70 years, we can see that they are extremely expensive. So the idea is to look also at the funding mechanisms, but also to estimate, to have the possibility to estimate the long-term costs, to look at the innovative instruments for land value capture, so to link the better regulation with the better funding, to understand the EU level level funding, especially the ever-changing perspective on the affordable housing and the link with the Compact City principles, the link of the planning and affordable housing, and the triangle with the sustainable transport. Because usually what we are having this triangle of that we have populations linked in the transport poverty, in the energy poverty, living at the outskirts, and basically at the end spending during the lifespan far more than they would spend if introduced more expensive compact city policies at the very beginning. So best practices and innovative finances, as well as exploring opportunities for the funding of the functional urban areas, because we know that the biggest questions that are happening related to the compact cities, they can't be resolved only looking at the administrative boundaries. We need to look really at the logic of the functioning of the urban areas and the mechanisms of the functional urban areas as a whole. So the administrative boundaries could often be misguiding us, could often misguide us in this process. Then better knowledge. This is a topic that is often I would say underestimated, because usually better knowledge is perceived as a subtopic in which, okay, you are going to create a certain amount of knowledge, but you know the applicability of this knowledge and so on. But better knowledge, in my experience, was always one of the best pillars, because it has opened very important questions, for example, on the indicators, on the things that pragmatically you would need in your everyday life, in the implementation, in understanding of the processes of your territory, but usually working within the city, as in the city administration, it is difficult to dedicate a certain amount of time to go through the academic literature, to understand what is going on, what is happening, and so on. So this co-production of knowledge in the better knowledge category is extremely important, because even if you are having the scientific partners, and if you are having then other cities, if you are having national partners, the production of knowledge is quite good and interactive, and it is opening some. For example, I remember that we were working extensively and fighting really a lot, because this is also a great aspect of the urban agenda partnerships, that you are going to disagree definitely. But really opening some of the most important discussions of the indicators that are now becoming parts of the legislation, part of the guidelines, part of the manuals of international financial institutions, and so on. So this is quite important and really challenging pillar. So we can go further on. I will go briefly, because I'm sure that you all went also through the materials. So categories of the partners, cities of all sizes. This was something that is extremely important. So to include all categories of the cities, and also to include the cities which are small and medium. So basically to have this possibility to hear the voices of the representatives of the complete European territories, because the challenges of the compact cities policy in small and medium-sized cities could be completely different, and also they differ in between themselves, if they are part of the functional urban area or if they are outside of the functional urban area. So there are many different categories of this topic that should be included in the further partnership composition. Then regions and regional development agencies having a mandate very often in the spatial planning, working with the different topics that are of the importance for the compact city policies, member states that are in many cases regulating the legal framework, and which have really important say in the position whether to streamline fast or to step back in the processes which are relevant for this topic, also to help understand the possibilities within the national frameworks related to the compact cities. Then of course, partner states and European and national city umbrella organizations, which are in a way already having a certain representative knowledge on this topic, and can streamline this knowledge within the work of the partnership. They can help understand the different experiences beyond the experiences of the partners already included in the partnership. We can go further. As it was already mentioned by both Jonas and Alexandro, and so there are other categories of partnerships, of partners, so other stakeholders, universities and research institutions, sector-specific associations, NGOs, local and regional entities in the fields of urban planning, spatial development, sustainable transport, land use management. So there are many different topics that we would like to have inside these partnerships. Also national level associations which are representing the interests of small and medium-sized municipalities, international organizations which are active in sustainable urbanization, and so on. We can move further. Yeah, now we will look through selection criteria of the call. So as you know, there are horizontal and specific selection criteria. I will explain briefly just the criteria that are relevant to this call. If you can move on. So concerning the horizontal criteria, there is a multi-level and multi-stakeholder approach. Then there is the criteria related to the size of cities. So at least one small size city, the one below 50,000 inhabitants, and one medium sized city between 50,000 and 250,000 inhabitants. Then important is to have a geographical balance, because we all know that what we mentioned at the very beginning, and those are the drivers of unsustainable urbanization, are very much geographically specific. So it is completely different if you are Mediterranean territory and your driver is linked to the secondary housing, tourism, and so on, or if you are a city which is coping with unsustainable urbanization due to the large business zones and so on in the Central Europe and so on. So basically, geographical balance is really important in order to understand the typology of the territories. So prior involvement in the urban agenda partnerships and coordinators. So if we can move on. Then we have these specific selection criteria. For partners, it is related to motivation, expertise, outreach, and resources. And if we can move on. For coordinators, additionally, we have a project management expertise, commitment, and plan for a kickstart. It was already mentioned before, the role of coordinators. I would say that if you are having coordinators that are not motivated enough, no matter how good the partners are within the partnership, it is very, very difficult to keep the momentum of the partnership. So in order to be a coordinator, really ask yourself whether you would like such a difficult role, because it is a challenging role. It is really, you have to invest your time, but also it is very rewarding role, because you will be at the position, as it was already mentioned, really to communicate, to contribute to the policies, to understand the way of the communication at the European level, and also to build a very strong and long-lasting knowledge bases and the relationships. So it was great. I think that Alexandro mentioned that really after the partnerships, there are many realities which remain really like friends, but also collaborators in the knowledge production, in the policy pressures that they want to exercise, and so on. So this is incredibly important role, but it requires a really strong commitment on the behalf of applicants. We can move on.
Ivana, we need to come to an end. We would also like to have a few minutes for questions, answers. Thank you.
Okay, I will be brief. Then for the specific criteria, we have a motivation to become a member, expertise, outreach, and also readiness to bring human and financial resources. There were many questions related to this, so I think that now you can understand that it will require human and financial resources also on your behalf. And we can move on. Additionally, yes, for coordinators, I already explained this part. So this project management, commitment, and proposal of a plan for the kickstart as a selection criteria are here. And we can move on. Yeah, okay, so this was the last one. I'm sorry, I explained too early things that were on the last slides. But anyhow, we are here for questions and answers. Please feel free to ask. And I mean, good luck. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ivana. This was also a very compact and comprehensive overview first on the theme on compact cities, and you very well explained and translated this very complex topic also into the different three categories of the pillars of the urban agenda. We will have now a second, let's say 10, 12 minutes question and answer possibility. Maybe two things I would like to complement from the beginning, because you mentioned one selection criteria, prior involvement in the urban agenda. Maybe I can answer this question directly. There's no, we do not prevent in applying again as a partner in a partnership, even if you already partner in a partnership. So we have 3-4 cases in the ongoing partnerships where one partner is represented in both partnerships. What's not possible is that you advise a coordinator, and we would also like to achieve and ensure that as much as possible newcomers will have a place, let's say, in the partnership. Okay. I give the floor now to Luis. You can pose again your questions for another, let's say, 10 minutes. And as I said, even if we do not manage to answer all the questions, we will update the frequently asked questions document. Please also consult the background document. You can find everything that Ivana explained in the background document, and in all supportive documents Luis will explain also later. But let's have a look at the Slido question first, and then we continue.
Yes, thank you, Jonas. There's one question here in regards to DGs, if relevant DGs are participating. The beginning of I will read out the entire question. Thus requires integrated changes in many sectors, for example, investment in public transport, higher building costs, interest, etc. Are relevant DGs participating in this partnership?
Yes, I can answer this question directly. This is let's say the unique composition of the thematic partnerships that we have in each partnership. Several director generals and European investment banks or JRC, so representatives from relevant DGs, they participate in all the partnerships. We still not have the list of those who would like to participate in this partnership. This will happen a bit later, but on average we have 4 to 5 commission director generals who participate in the partnership. Luis, maybe the next question.
Yes. 1 second here.
Maybe I can answer. How many stakeholders do you plan to select? Is there a limit? Well, the composition of partnership is very manifold. We have a minimum composition of partners. I think it's 15 partners. Given the fact that we have 350 participants now already in the applicant seminar, we expect a much higher application rate for this call. But there's no limit for partners. What we would try to achieve is to have a partnership that is manageable. We have a partnership with more than 40 partners, or with around 40 partners, and we have some partnerships with just 20 partners. So this really depends on the quality of applications and also on the decision of the Urban Agenda Governance Board, with it's the member states, Commission, and so on, who at the end decides on the composition of the partnership. Luis, okay, next question,
Yes.
please.
Will it be possible to focus on the concept of metropolitan areas in partnership, use of ITI instrument on issues connected with urban sprawl, cohesion policy in the brackets?
Ivana, do you would like to start in answering this question, and if necessary, we can complement?
Absolutely. It is already mentioned in the ex-ante assessment, the role of the metropolitan areas and functional urban areas. This is something that I also explained in detail. The use of ITI instrument is incredibly important for this topic for many member states. So definitely it should be something that the partnership should discuss under the funding section, but also looking at the governance mechanisms in the ITI instrument. So basically, as I already said, it is up to partnership once when it is composed to discuss the findings of the ex-ante assessments, of the literature review, and their own experiences and points of interest. Thank you.
And if I may complement, as Anton from the European Commission mentioned at the beginning of the session, we are now in the stage where the European Commission released a new multi-annual financial framework. So in the next 2-3 years, let's say, there will be a thorough discussion on the new financing tools and instruments where the partnership can also contribute. Okay, Luis, next question, please.
Yes. Does the applicant select also preferences for subtopics on which they would like to work, as indicated in the ex-ante assessment?
Okay, I give this question to Alessandro, and Ivana, if you may want to complement, but maybe Alex, you start to explain.
Yes. So the ex-ante assessment is there to make your work easier and to have a base from which you start. And the work Ivana did, we think it's very high quality and relevant. The members of the partnership will have a lot of flexibility to decide which subtopics they will work on. We do not impose, the Commission is not imposing, the governance structure is not imposing. We just recommend you that you make use of this ex-ante assessment, but you have plenty of flexibility to decide what you will work on. So do not be scared on that.
Okay, Luis, we can go to the next question. This is already answered, I see.
Yes, that's true. Our region has a brand new urban vision focused on compact cities. Would you suggest a coordinator status?
Should I?
I don't think that we can suggest the status. It's up to your preferences whether you think that you would be a coordinator. Sorry, Jonas, if
fine, it's fine.
May answer this. I think it's great that you have a new vision focused on compact cities. It's an excellent experience that could be of the benefit for the partnership, but whether you want the role of coordinator or not really depends on your internal processes and capacities.
But we highly encourage to be to consider it. Depending on the scale and size of the city, everyone is welcome to apply for coordinator.
Okay, Luis.
There is one question here about expertise. Can you please detail further on the 70 expert days? Who are the experts? What organisms can apply for the support, and can organisms provide support?
I think, Luis, yourself, you're the best person to answer this question.
Yeah. So the provision of external expertise is a service we offer. We have a partnership can get up to 70 days per year. of expertise. This expertise is only offered to partnerships within 3 aims. It's to either prepare and develop actions for an action plan, or it is to implement actions, or it's to prepare the action plan but do not write it. We cannot offer expertise for writing the action plan on behalf of the partnership. The experts are individual people who, most of them are in the pool of experts of the EUI. We usually open internal calls when we have an expertise need. And the expertise is used for a wide range of different activities. But for example, we've had experts who've helped the partnership develop a position paper. There's a partnership now who has an expert helping them developing an instrument to evaluate green space. There are experts who help on organizing workshops or online webinars. So really the types of activities that these experts can help with is really very wide and depends on the need of each partnership.
Okay, thank you. I would say we have 2 more questions, 2 questions, and then we need to continue with the last quarter. But as I said, we will try to summarize and upload a new frequently asked question document in the next days. Okay, Louise, can you read the next question, please?
Yep. What costs should we budget will we face as cities? This is probably quite individual depending on the measures, but we want to ask for your experience.
I give the floor to Alessandro. You explain it briefly, but maybe you can elaborate in a bit in more detail.
Yes. So first question will be, which size of city are you? If you're an urban authority under 500,000 inhabitants, you are eligible for travel and accommodation. So accommodation. This again is a lump sum, very simplified but efficient tool. So if you are under 500,000 and you're eligible with our condition, you can take this out of your personal burden. You will need basically mainly to cover the cost of your staff. So this could be Encant, your staff will work on Urban Agenda. We do provide most of the infrastructure and tools you will need. So we guarantee a SharePoint for you. You don't need to budget that. We guarantee Miro tools, tools for the meetings. If you, depending on the activity you are doing specifically, if there's something that needs a very specific IT tool, that might be the case, but I think this is to be seen later. For now, I think 95% of the cost is just staff cost, based on the experience from the past. I hope I managed to answer.
Okay, maybe the last question, Alex. You were working a lot with the partnerships in the past years. Please give a very brief answer to this, and then we need to continue.
So how do we develop the thematic? First, do we develop topics together in the first phase and build the working groups? In most of the cases, the working groups are naturally emerging from the subtopics the group identifies. So you read the ex-ante assessment, you have a debate with your group with inputs from other ideas and sources, and then as a group decide, okay, we have maybe 4 directions we want to work. This become the subgroups, and then you decide, okay, each subgroup will be one work group. That's one option. It's a lot of flexibility. You have the possibility to decide on yourself, and if you want to apply a new way of working, nobody's blocking you, as long as you are achieving the objective and working on this direction. It's all fine.
Okay, thank you very much. Unfortunately, we have to close the question and answer session for now. Also, thanks a lot, Ivana, for your intervention, and Alessandro for your explanations. I would like to continue now with Louise. Louise, you will explain where applicants can find the application form and all the supportive documents. Louise, please, the floor is yours. Unmute yourself.
Yes, thank you.
And next slide, please.
So I'm sure that now that you've heard the presentations of my colleagues, I assume you're eager to know what the next steps are going to be. As you know, the call is going to close on the 1st of October at 2 p.m. Central European Time. From that day onwards, the assessment process will start, where Ivana will evaluate each application. Finally, she will propose a composition of partners, which will be presented to the Urban Agenda governance body and then eventually endorsed. We foresee that we will have the final thematic partnership composition at the beginning of December, and we aim to do a first kickoff meeting with the coordinators in December, and then the really big kickoff meeting of the partnership in January 2026. It's important before you apply that you familiarize yourself with the call document. These documents are important because if you go to the next slide, there are 3 call documents that we recommend that you look at, especially, and the most important is the background document. This is really the terms of reference of this application process, where you will find information about as Ivana explained, the selection criteria, the categories of partners, the thematic focus, etc. If you want to go more in depth, you can have a look at the ex-ante assessment report, where you will find it's a really well-written report where you find information more in depth about the thematic focus, but also trends and evidence, the regulatory environment, as well as Ivana has proposed some recommendations for the partnership to work on when they start in January. If you have questions, we have a frequently asked questions document that is available online. So please consult this, but if you do not find the answers to your questions, of course, there are other ways in which you can ask for these. The application form itself is quite simple and straightforward. It consists of 5 sections, 4 sections if you are only applying as a partner. The first 3 are very simple, preliminary information, what type of application. You talk a little bit about your institution. Then in the specific selection criteria for all applicants, we ask for example, your motivation, your expertise and experience, also with different sub-themes. And then in terms of the coordinator's role, we ask for also more proof of expertise and experience in terms of project management. And we also ask you to provide a small plan for the kickoff of the partnership. And with that said, here is the overview of the important material, and in black is highlighted the most important for you to keep in mind. We have a online form where you can ask questions, and at the end of this presentation, you will also see our email address where we are available for any questions or concerns. Thank you. I hand over to you again, Jonas.
Yeah, thank you, Louise. Maybe we go to the next slide. I was asked by my colleagues from other units to have a little promotion block also before we close the event. Please, who is interested in other UI events? We have on the 25th of September a peer review and city-to-city exchanges, an online info session if you would like to participate in this kind of UI support. We have an UI event on the topic on access to funding on the 29th of September until 3 of October. And it's a policy lab, and then EU City Lab on active mobility in the city of Hamburg in Germany, which is also a bigger, let's say, a kind of laboratory with around 100 participants from all over Europe to exchange your knowledge on active and innovative mobility strategies in Hamburg. So registrations are still open. And I would like to give now the floor to our director from the Région Hauts-de-France, to Anne Wesel, for the closing remarks from your side. And Anne, I can see you, and I see you, but we don't see you. Maybe you can switch off on your.
I can't manage it. It will not function.
Okay, you
Can
cannot
you hear
manage
me?
it. We can hear
No.
you very well.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know. The camera will not turn on. I will do it then without.
Okay, then we will
the
do it
image.
without camera. We cannot see it from here. I'm very sorry.
Yeah, no worries. But I will really be quick because I think you had a really interesting session with a lot of information. So just from the Hauts-de-France region, we are in charge of the European Urban Initiative, managing with the Commission. And I think it's also even in the functioning an interesting model of multi-level cooperation. A region in the north of France, a region, for those who don't know it, starts at the Belgian border and goes almost to the Parisian airport, with a lot of coastline, but also a lot of urban issues. So it's really a pleasure for us to work on this urban initiative with the Commission. And there are a lot of elements of this initiative, and I think today you had a lot of information about an important one, the urban agenda and the thematic partnerships. I think what it's important to say is that we can see in the last month or even the year, the constant increase in activities and the importance of the agenda and the partnerships. I think we had a lot of information about results, about what is going on. And the new one, I think really interesting about compact cities, will be really important for cities and for urban issues in Europe. So I think you hope that you make use of all the important information you got, and perhaps use also of the other offers you have in the framework of that initiative. Thank you so much for participating. I think there were a lot of different parts of Europe asking questions. And I wish you all the best for your application and for the next steps in this direction. Thank you very much, and have all a good day from Lille, the north of France.
Yeah, thank you very much, Anne, and we are very sorry that we did not manage to open the camera, but we will try to do it the next time in a better way. I would like to close now the meeting, the application seminar. First of all, I would like to thank all who externally contributed to this applicant seminar. So Ivana, Anton, Tim, and Anne for your intervention, and then of course a big thank you to my team on the left and the right side, and in the off you don't see all of them, but there's a golden team behind of this applicant seminar with Alessandro, Vanes, Luis, and Rafaela. And last but not least, I would also mention all our contact points. The European Urban Initiative has in each of your member state a national contact point. If you have further questions, you can also go directly to the contact points. Many of them organize also national seminars and events on this urban agenda call in the next weeks. Otherwise, Louise explained you where you can find the documents. As I said, we will upload and update a new frequently asked question document then in the next days. Well, there's nothing to say more. We wish you all the best. Good luck for your application. And so we will see us. If you are a partner, if you will be selected as a partner, we will see us then at the beginning of next year. Otherwise, do not hesitate to apply also and look to other EUI funding opportunities. We have also the fourth call of innovative actions coming soon in the next month. And with that said, I will close the meeting, and thanks a lot for such a big contribution and participation from your side, and have a good day. Bye.